Okay, so I know that you are not used to hearing my voice at the start of the show. You're used to hearing the trailer. Ba, 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 ba. I hope I did a good impression of a baby. But I wanted to hop on before we started this episode to share with you that we just launched our Patreon account. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this new opportunity. There's so many of you who asked me, what can I do to keep this community going? This was so helpful to me. I want to help other moms. I want to be involved. I want to do more. And I understand that feeling, which is why I started this podcast, because I just wanted to do more. We started our Patreon so that you all can support the Our Forever Smiles podcast and community and platform. As I've shared multiple times, I am still a full-time employee. I am still a full-time mother. I am a full-time fiance, soon to be wife. And I am just all the things, but I am nothing without this great community. And so if you want to support Our Forever Smiles, please go ahead and click on the Patreon link in the episode notes. You can support the show by paying just $2 a month to support the show. And you can also, if you want additional content, which I'll be doing family vlogs and behind the scenes, but more importantly, Danica and I, who is our savvy social media manager, we will be launching our own show called Moms in Real Life. So if you want access to that exclusive show, you can do so by subscribing to the $10 Patreon. And so we're just so excited to be able to put funding behind the project and also just really boost the show. We want to increase our production. We want to be able to increase our marketing. And this is a great way for you to help us be able to do that. We want to make sure that we're continuing to spread Cleft awareness, the Cleft journey in North America and also globally. I think that we have so many organizations who do wonderful things all around the world. And yet so many of us are still shocked when we receive the diagnosis, even though it is the most common birth defect in the entire world. We're still so shocked. Why? Because we need to continue to build awareness. This is a great way to be able to do this. We need to show our faces. We need to share our stories. And to continue to do that, I need you all. So again, click right now. The link is in the show notes, or you can find it on our Instagram. We love the support, and I'm just so grateful. I'm forever indebted to you all. To continue the show, we need you. We need you today. So thanks again and enjoy this episode. It's a fun episode with Summer and I. Her son just had cleft lip surgery. And so we're talking about all the things that moms can do to prepare for that. So enjoy.
Blah, 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 blah.
Welcome to the Our Forever Smiles podcast, a podcast created to support mothers of children who were born with clefts and those who love them. I'm your host, Laura Arroyo, and I'm also a mother of a daughter who was born with a surprise cleft palate. I know the challenges you face every day, whether you have just learned the difficult news of your baby's cleft lip or palate, you're in the midst of pre-op or post-op, or you're an OG cleft mom. This podcast is for you. In a weekly conversation, we will talk about everything from feeding and speech therapy to surgery and school. We'll share tips from guest experts and advocates and even share a little joy in the process. You can listen to Our Forever Smiles wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to the Our Forever Smiles Cleft Mom Diaries and Support podcast. I am Laura Arroyo. Before we jump into this episode, I would like to invite you to join this community to hear conversations with other cleft moms and advocates that will help you feel supported along your journey. All I want you to do is click on the follow or subscribe button. We love to see your support, and it's incredible to see us all come together. So thank you so much. We have so much in store for you this year. I cannot believe we are in 2025. As a note, we are not medical doctors, and we do not intend for you to use information that we share here as medical advice. We are parents and advocates who love our children. We are sharing our own personal experiences. Before I introduce our next guest, I'm so excited to announce that we have merch available. So you asked and we delivered. The Our Forever Smiles merch is now available. Not only will you be rocking some awesome gear, but you'll also be supporting the show and helping us spread awareness about the Cleft journey. And every item purchased fuels more inspiring conversations and uplifting stories. Now, for our next guest is Kelley Bennett, and she is a mom of 2 boys. Woof! Ages 2 and 7 months, and her youngest is cleft affected with a complete unilateral cleft lip and cleft palate. Welcome, Kelley.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. This is very cool for me. I just want to say that I've been listening to your podcast since before my son was born. And I just think this is an incredible resource for caregivers of affected children to have. It's very validating. And also the information that other people provide is, I needed it. I really needed it.
Yeah, I love that. It's obviously why I created the podcast, is to reach moms that have just been diagnosed or people that are going through palate repair or lip repair, because it's a really tough time. And so that's validating to me as well, to just listen to you share that you started listening before you even had
I
your
had no
baby.
idea what
Like, that's
anyone was talking about, by the way. I had not a clue. I was ma'am, sham, bam. I don't know. But now I re-listen and I know. And I'm so in the beginning, you're getting information and you're just, okay, what do I have to prepare for? And then you go through all these really hard things and you listen again. And now you're, okay, now I'm getting validated. And all these feelings that I
wow.
had that were very difficult during that time, I'm hearing other women talk about. And it feels very good.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's so incredible. And so just talking about that experience. So when you received your diagnosis, did you go right to the Facebook groups, or what are those steps when you first heard or you first received this news?
I feel we were incredibly fortunate in a sense because as soon as we got our diagnosis at our anatomy scan, which we had our anatomy scan, I want to say 24, 25 weeks, we had holidays, then we had psycho weather in Houston. And so everything got pushed, which was good because I had the whole Christmas to enjoy with my family and celebrate my pregnancy. And I didn't have a care in the world. It was second trimester, loving it. And then when I got back from all that, I had the anatomy scan where we were diagnosed with cleft lip for sure and suspected cleft palate as well. And the MFM that we saw pushed us right into the UT Physicians Memorial Hermann, which is the Houston folks, right into their system. And they're so great. They're so great. They hooked us up to the Facebook group right away. And so I immediately just started gathering all the information I possibly could. And they gave me some pretty good warnings. So don't Google too much. Mostly just stick to the Facebook group. And then they had also curated some content, videos, links, PDF stuff. And I consider it safe viewing mode because if you actually are a new cleft parent with a new diagnosis and you go to Google and you start looking up stuff, there's some wild stuff out there that really can emotionally, it can hurt you a little bit to see that because what is the fate for my child? And so I was very glad that they're about a hand holding, which it was really nice.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about Texas. I'm not even kidding, but I was looking at, of course, people that come on the podcast. I do a pre-interview questionnaire, and it's really just so that I don't come on to the podcast and who are you? I'm not asking very basic things. I at least know a little bit about your child, your age, your name, what interests you. But I do have like the states and stuff. And I have so many people from Texas, and as I don't know if there's a lot of clefts in Texas. I don't know whether it's a lot of advocates in Texas that are really trying to get their stories out there. The state is really big, obviously, as well. There's a lot of things at play there. But it's so interesting, though, because they have such a great level of care. Like, I've heard that time and time again that their hospital system has essentially curated these resources links. And I think that's fascinating and amazing that they say, hey, go to the Facebook groups. That is a resource for you to look at and to look at that over Google. It is so interesting too because I Googled something for myself to see. I actually wasn't intending to see where we landed in Google, but I just Googled it because I knew it would pop up somewhere. And you're right. The information that we need as I feel as parents right now, while the hospitals and all of these other resources are great, I feel the things that we need and we're looking for show up at the bottom of these searches. All this other stuff, you're inundated with all this information and all these unrepaired clefts, and it's just very scary. So, yeah,
Yes.
like, I find that to be so just a wild experience for someone that's first getting that diagnosis. Now, when you were going into your anatomy scan that day. So this is your second baby, right?
Yeah.
It's your youngest child. So you business as usual, I assume, or at least knew what was going on, right?
Yes,
Like
I
what
did.
was that?
But when I was watching the screen, oh, there's a little blip on his lip. I swear I saw it. I swear to God. And the little girl you're tripping. This is a black and white, murky, weird image of half skeleton blob. You didn't see anything, calm down, whatever. So what happens is we don't do a traditional anatomy scan where the doctor and the sonographer are together. We went to a separate sonography place, and then they report back to the medical professional, in this case, my midwife. And then it was my midwife who several hours later contacted me. And then I knew we were in some different waters when she called me and didn't just send me an email and whatever. Can you call me right away? Oh, it's 4 p.m. This is urgent, and that's not good. She called me and I was driving to work and she told me, and at first I knew it. So, and then oh, and then over the course of an hour, all these emotions just came totally flooding in, and I was crying, and I was on the phone to my husband, and you need to call your boss, tell them that you're not coming into work. They will cover you and you need to come home and we need to just be together as a family. And so that's what we did.
Yeah. Wow, so I had a similar experience too. They send me down the hall to go have my ultrasound because I also had a midwife, and then they sent it was all in one day. So I can imagine I probably would have asked, "Why aren't we reviewing this today?" Or I would have had that moment of, and then you call me.
Oh, yeah.
I probably would have the same. Only also I was a first time mom, so I'm like maybe I would have just been like, up, like
I
just
think
so
about
oblivious.
your story a lot too, because I know that your daughter is your first child. And I think about that all the time because my first son, he basically came with training wheels on. He's such an easy baby and everything was textbook. And so you're learning how to be a mom parent with this kid who's really by the book. And with my second son, my cleft affected child, that was a wild learning curve. And I cannot imagine what is for first time parents having to learn all the things about a newborn, all the things about parenthood, motherhood, and all that comes with it. And then add on to it cleft, which is huge. It's wow. I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, I think back and just in sharing my own story too, I can still I don't know. I feel I have a strong some days I'm okay, and then when I think back about all the things that I had to go through, wow, that was a real experience. Like
Yeah.
that was like a lot. And then I also think too, I don't know if you've heard this or if I've shared it anywhere that you've listened, but I also think, oh, now that Giselle is 2 and oh, I wish I wanna have another one. I could do it again. So, we've actually we're not having any more children, but it's it does, like, now I'm like, "Oh, like, I wish I could experience motherhood in a different way."
Yeah.
Like, I wish that this wasn't our story, but it is, and I that's something that I have to be okay with, and then also I do get baby fever sometimes, and then I go back and I'm, "Nah." Even if we could, I wouldn't.
It's and
I think it's a terrible idea.
yeah, I'm right there with you. Things are finally so good now. The dust takes forever to settle when you have a cleft child, it seems. That's my experience. It just I'm hitting my groove now 7 months in. That's a long time. And I think to myself, I watch my kids play and I'm, oh my God, finally, we're here. We're breathing, we're vibing. Do I really want to do I really want to throw another baby into this? No, it sounds
Yeah.
insane. So
Even at 7 months, I also felt like, "Oh, I'm doing better. It's getting better. Things are getting better." But now that she's 2 and things are we're good. We're really
yeah,
good. And then also it's that it's you'll I don't know, has your son had palate repair yet, right?
yeah, he's not just the lip and nose repair, and that's it. And he had a pretty wide palate. It's significant.
Yeah. Yeah, so now that Giselle has had her palate repair and last appointment that we had, they shared like, "Oh, we'll see you next year." And so it's just what? It's we had gone so much that it was a part of her journey, her life, everything that she would do. And so that is the moment that I feel, "Oh, wow, I can finally we were breathing, but we're really breathing now, like,
Yeah.
ready to move on." And it will always be a part of our lives, obviously, because she still has the ear tubes and all these other things that she has going on. But yeah, so I think after learning about this and you come home to your husband, what was that experience?
Well,
How did he process the information? Was he okay? How did that come how did you all come together?
he is like a quiet processor of information. So, but he's very like diligent in his research. I am too, but like, I'm like, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? And he's like, what reserved? So we both just took in as much information as we possibly could. And then, um, and I'm the crier. I think I just stopped crying every day, maybe a month ago.
Mm.
But today could be another day.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
It's so much, and every day is so emotional, and also postpartum, and also everything's great, and so you're feeling all your emotions all the time at the same time. So for me, I found a way that I could feel in control was just by getting as much information as possible and then like just preparing as much as possible. What type of clothes do we need? What type of bottles do we need? Who's the best doctor? What's my insurance going to do? Do I have to deliver at a hospital? Can I stay with my midwifery team? All those questions. And I have to say that I'm really glad I did that because when my son was born, he looked exactly I thought he was going to look. And I think a large part
Did
that was
he?
due to the engagement that I had with the Cleft group on Facebook and seeing all those beautiful babies on there and all the cute pictures. And I had one good shot from Instagram, one good shot from my ultrasound where it was almost up the nose. And so you could really see the gap. You could see how flat the nostril was, how stretched out it was. And so when he was born, that's how I imagined him to look in my mind. And that was new for me because when my first son was born, I was, oh my God, babies, they're so cheesy.
Different.
It's just
Yeah.
not the Gerber version. When they come out, they're different. And so when number two was born, I was, okay, yeah, this is my son. This is what he looks. He's beautiful. He's perfect. I want to hold him and kiss him. And yeah, I, this sounds crazy, but probably only Cleft moms will appreciate, but I loved his face so much. I thought his cleft was so cute. And cleft kisses, 10 out of 10. Love a cleft
Oh
kiss.
my
So
goodness.
cute. Love a baby kiss, but a cleft kiss is even cuter. And he's a very smiley and animated and active baby. And it also sounds bananas, but when he would smile, one side of his upper lip would go first, and then the other side would go. It was really cute. So
No. Oh my goodness. And just you're the first person that's ever shared that. So I'm also a baby kisser. Only but just
yeah,
me.
just
Like
mine.
I kiss my own baby.
Right.
Y'all don't try to come in and kiss my baby now.
Yeah.
I kiss my baby. But yes, but I can't that is absolutely made that will make my heart melt. A cleft kiss, that's even the perfect way to describe it.
It's just really cute, and babies in general are cute. And then when you have your own baby, you can't describe the love that you feel for your own children. And none of that was diminished. I felt in a way almost it was even more celebrated just because
Yeah.
you're okay, I have this baby, but now he's extra special.
Mm-hmm. Now, did he look his brother when he was born?
So
Did you
yes, and I look at pictures of them all the time, and I to do my side by side collages for their same ages. And I literally have to look for the cleft to tell them apart because to me they look twin. And I'm Kelly,
Oh.
there's a cleft in that one. Obviously, that's your second child.
Wow. That's so wonderful. Okay, so now that he's had his lip repaired, so actually a conversation that I had today, she told me now after repair, he looks so much her. She was referring to herself.
Yeah.
He's like he looks so much he looks like my twin, like literally like just like me. So I imagine after repair that probably even intensified for you. Like they are really looking like each other now.
They
Um,
diverged around this age, around 8 months. My son turned from he just turned really fair. I don't know what happened. He's super pale now. So he looks quite different. He's starting to look more like his dad. And then number two, I still
oh,
think looks like me. But at the same age in their early life, they do look very similar. But I feel like I was gonna say,
go ahead.
I feel like I could tell what his nose was gonna look really well even before any of the repair or the taping, just from the one side of how his nostril was. I knew that's how his other side was meant to be, as well as the one side of his mouth versus so you could tell this is what his face will be or will look. And so anyway, so that's I think why I
Yeah.
think they look so similar.
Yeah, were I know people ask a lot in the groups as well. Can someone send me a picture of it? Can someone send me a picture of their ultrasound and after repair? People want to compare. And I completely understand that why people do that or they want to have some and when you're pregnant, I feel all you have is time to like, you're not like
Yes.
get on the groups and it's like you're like, you have time to like compare and stuff like that. But yeah, were you one of those people that show me your ultrasounds and so I can see what people look
I was more interested in the if people were sharing their older children, 5 and up, and even adults, because I was really curious to know what that was gonna look like, the repair. And you're always looking too for you see this all the time in the group, "That looks just like baby's cleft, but we're cleft twins." And it's very true. There are clefts that look very similar. So I see my son's cleft in other children all the time, and so I'm always looking for when they're, 5. I'm super curious about how teeth are gonna come in and what things I can be on the lookout for, but also mostly I just think, "Oh, these kids, they look so good." It's
like.
such a ray of hope.
Yeah. No, I love that, and that's a great tip too. I never thought to do that. If you see a cleft that is similar to your child and you know that they have like, an older child or their child is 5 or 6 now, you can see that progression.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm always really
Yeah.
grateful that moms are willing to share that, especially I know that social medias can be tricky in that way, but I've always felt that the Cleft Moms group is a super safe and sacred space for us. S Yeah, it just thanks everyone who shares pictures of your older kids. I just really appreciate it.
For sure. So tell me about, like, your labor and delivery story. Like, did you were you able to is this the part where you curse?
No, I just you know what? I'm just salty about it because I'm a dyed-in-the-wool birth center, just let me do my thing, don't let anyone touch me kind of mom, and for some reason, number 2 just wouldn't. He was really not wanting to come out, and we had decided maybe around 30 weeks to change from our birth center and midwifery practice to the hospital that the CLEP team was at, because everyone was, if you could deliver where your CLEP team's at, that'll be really good. But that meant that we had to deliver at a hospital, and
Mm.
they are so, they just measure every breath, every drop, everything. And so you're hooked up to everything. I really didn't like that. And so then my husband and my doula, get a doula, by the way, everyone, my husband and my doula came in and they were handling stuff for me. So I had to be induced. And it was painful, but it wasn't any more painful than the birth center. You're having contractions and now you're pushing out a baby and it's all the same. So the birth experience, it was good. He was healthy. They took him to the NICU for a little bit of labor breathing, but it wasn't a cleft NICU stay. Wasn't related to that at all. And then he was released back to us later that day. So I just wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. I was like, let me be home with my children. I am ready to not be at the hospital anymore. So I will say this. The hospital we went to is a fantastic hospital, and anyone who's looking to have a hospital birth, I would recommend it 10 out of 10. great staff, great nurses, great care. Didn't have any concerns for my health at any point. It's just I personally am not a hospital person. I don't enjoy being there. But this is also a hospital that my son had his surgery at, and the highest level of confidence every time I go in there. I know he's going to be taken care of. I know we're going to be taken care of. So I guess I'm glad I delivered there in a sense because it brought me into that system from the beginning. So we've always been at Memorial Hermann. We're always going to be at Memorial Hermann. We're always going to have these doctors. Fingers crossed. So I do that.
Yeah, I had that too. I don't know. I was just being, I don't know, weird about it. But I think one time Giselle's dad we were having something happened. And her surgeon left. And he's like, you could always just go to a different team. And I'm, no, I can't.
Nope, you cannot.
You don't change teams. Who does that? But you're right. It feels, I gave birth at UNC. Her team is at UNC. Everything is there. The pediatric office is in UNC, but they're in the same building. We go to the same place for these things. ENT is there. No, we're not changing. So I know that feeling that you have. It feels home almost a little bit.
Yeah, and then it's wild because you're going to literally grow old with these people. Because if you think about that, your child's care ends with their Cleft team around 18, oh my gosh, we're going to be together for that long.
Yeah. What's so special is that I don't know if you've heard the episodes that I've had with the doctors as well, but I spoke with a pediatric dentist and she told me that is her favorite part. That's the reason why she chose Cleft Care is because she gets to see they're her patients forever. It's the same people that she gets to work with and she gets to see them grow and go through all these milestones with them. And that's really special to her. So it made me cry.
Yeah. And the dentists that do your Cleft, so when you do your NAM process, you see the dentist every week. That's like who you see. So when moms are talking about all these doctor's appointments and stuff, it's really the dentist. And I feel everyone's asking, oh, who's your surgeon? Who's your surgeon? And it's no, who's the dentist? Your dentist, because that is who you're spending your time with. A lot of your communication is through them, with them, and they report out to your surgeon. And so, of course, your surgeon is an incredibly important part of your Cleft Care team. But oh my God, I love our dentist so much. Her and her assistant were just the nicest. I always looked forward to our appointments. They were so sweet to my kids. And I was sad, actually, when we had our last appointment. So it's nice that we'll continue to see them in the future.
Yeah. And so do they actually end up caring for them when they have to have braces and orthodontic work? Do you end up going back to them?
I don't know. So much is dictated by your insurance. And I know my insurance for dental is terrible, but I've heard you can get your orthodontia covered under medical. Hopefully they do that. And so in that case, it would all be back with UT physicians and UT School of Dentistry. And they're so nice. So I hope that works out for us.
One of the things I wanted to go back on before I lose this thought, you mentioned it. Yes, get a doula. So I was one of those people that are, why would I need a doula? I'm going to be fine. My mom's going to be okay. My fiance is going to be okay. We're in this. We're going to do it. No, my fiance was not okay. My mom was literally and now that I have a daughter, I probably wouldn't be her, how my mom was, but I would feel the way that she felt. You would have thought that she was in labor. She was so worried. And it was you are not helpful. You're worried beyond, you're worried too much to where you're not helping the situation. You're supposed to be, you got this, Laura. You're doing okay. Good job. She was shaking in her boots. I'm going to put you out. You're not helpful. Anyway, get the doula. It is worth every penny.
Get the doula, especially if you have an idea of how you want your birth to go. For me, I really wanted to have an unmedicated birth in all the ways that you can be unmedicated. I didn't want to be induced. I didn't want to have any pain medication. I just wanted to go into labor naturally, have my child, and go. And that's how I had my first child at the birth center. And I had this doula. Shout out Shelley Williams. She's amazing. And when we knew that we were transferring with the second child to the hospital, I still wanted her because you're not taking my unmedicated birth away from me. So much has already changed that I just was really, we have to adhere as much as we can to what we
Mm.
wanted. And so she came along with us, and I did end up doing Pitocin, but that luckily was the only medication that we could compromise on. And they were like, okay, we'll give you this, but we're not going to put you on me or anything like that. And yeah, thank God she was there because a doozy.
Yeah, no, I wanted to do the same. That's why I got a midwife and I could labor. What is it? But and had I had the support, I made it to 8 centimeters,
Oh
is
my
it? Right,
gosh.
8 centimeters.
You're right there.
Yeah, I made it. But I was in literally if I just had someone to help me to walk me through that whole thing when I was at 7 even, it's okay, you're almost there. But I didn't have that. And so it was by the time I was at 8, I was, "Get this place." Hey, like, you
Yeah.
know?
No, that's the really tough part right there. From 8 to shoulders is wow. It's wild. And that's when your doula make all of their money.
Yeah,
When they
and
earn all the
they
money.
deserve it.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
They really do.
So, what did you do to you have this baby home, or you're bringing them home, and thank God you didn't have to have any NICU stays or anything like that. Did he feed right away? Was he able to get the hang of it pretty well?
Yes, we were so lucky. Both of our children I'm gonna categorize as easy children. And we really lucked out there. So he took to feeding right away. We didn't have any problems. I mean, we all know that Dr. Brown bleak. We all know that. Suppose that was the only problem that we had. Well, one day and talk to Dr. Brown about his leaky bottle. But that was the
I
only
will.
issue that we had. He ate very well. I started pumping right away. And so I had a good supply going, and I had pumped a little bit 50-50 with my first child. So I was familiar with how that was going to go. And then we got the NAM. I want to say we got fitted for NAM at 2 weeks, and then we got the appliance at 3 weeks. And once his NAM was in, forget it. That guy ate because
Oh, really?
solid palate. And so it's much, much easier for them to eat. You don't have to position the bottle into the side because with the palate being open, they have to chew on it on the side. It has to fall down their neck a bit. And once they have the NAM in, it's not quite that way. NAM is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because some babies struggle with it once they have the NAM placed. They don't eat maybe because it creates some soreness maybe or
Yeah.
like they just take a little bit to adjust. But one of the things that I think that moms really would to have support on and they talk about a lot is getting through the NAM process and having those adjustments. And is there any advice that you have or,
A
I
good
guess the
partner.
words of encouragement.
Yeah. A good partner goes a
Yeah.
long way. I'm the mom. I can do everything on my own. I can carry the weight of the world on my shoulders. And you can't. It's a lot. And then when you have a medically complex child, it even more. So my husband is the tape master of the house. He can tape a nose anywhere, anytime. He can tape a NAM. He's very good at that. So I was doing most of it because I was working in person in the evenings, and my husband was doing his job during the day. And so we would flip flop. And so a lot of all the doctor's appointments and all that fell into my time slot, as it were. So I'd always be relaying the information back to him, but he made sure that any sort of demo or taping stuff, he would always take off work to go to that and he needed to. And I'm so glad that he did that because I'm just going to call it NAM fatigue. I could not
Mm.
bear the sound, the crying, I'm feeling I'm hurting my child. And I know that I'm doing this thing that is going to make all the difference for him in the long run. But it is every day, every time you change that NAM, it straight to your heart. It hurts. It emotionally hurts so bad. Gonna cry. So he stepped in, especially when we had the nasal stent placed. That was so hard. Our son really hated it, and it caused a lot of rubbing in places on his nostril, and he just would cry, 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 cry. And so my husband basically, starting from like I want to say maybe the last month of NAM therapy, he basically did all the taping. And that's huge. That's a huge ask to just be,
Mm.
I just can't do this anymore. Of course I could and I would, but I'm so glad that I had the partner that I had during that whole thing because it's just emotionally very difficult. And then the other thing too is your baby is so beautiful. And all you want to do is see your baby and cuddle up with your baby. And for months on end, every day you have tape in the way. You can't see your baby's face. They can't nuzzle into your shoulder because they have these metal and acrylic protrusions coming out. And tummy time is really hard. And you have, it's just, ugh, so exhausting, honestly, emotionally
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what the pediatric dentist shares or if people are prepared for how difficult that process is. And um I think that's validating for you to say that. I've had so many people reach out to me to say, I cannot do this.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not going to make it. This is not working. And so it is a challenge, I feel. And so for anyone that is listening to this, see you and we hear you, and it is a hard road, and it is not something that we would wish on anyone to have to go through. But and you do as much as you can. I feel people I have heard before, the nurses have told people, "Hey, your doctor's never gonna say this, but if your baby needs a break and you need a break, give them a break."
Oh my God, totally. And I remember one time, so we had Hurricane Beryl here in Houston during our NAM therapy, and we went to the appointment, even though we hadn't had power for multiple days. We had lost our whole milk storage, 300 ounces of, I was in a way. I was in a way. I had not showered. I was disgusting, but I was like, I have to go to this appointment with our surgeon at our preoperative appointment. And we show up, the tape is wet, it's loose, his lip isn't taut, and he's this tape trouble. I know. Okay. I mean, you're so amazing. I am doing the best that I can. We literally are still out of power from a hurricane. My NAM gate isn't 100 today, sir. But they're the medical
Oh,
centers, so they've had
wow.
power. You know what I mean? They're living that air conditioned life. But
Mhm.
did not come for me this week, please. I just don't have it. But yeah, to
Yeah.
your point, you can't be perfect with your NAM all the time. It's unrealistic.
Yeah, that's so true. But would you say that it was worth it?
I think it made such a big difference. And I said, I love to do a side by side with my kid, but I also love to do progress over time. And I have all these comparison pictures. And truly, oh my God, I promised myself I would look up how to say this, but the alveolar ridge came together really nicely. And instead of being pronated a little bit, it did have a bit of flattening. But the thing that was impressed me the most with the NAM therapy was how good his nostril looked before surgery, because when he was born, I'm telling you, not a crease could be found in his nostril anywhere. It was totally flat. It was pulled so far. And the tip of his nose was really far from center as well. So the last day before surgery, to look at a picture and see how much his nostril had gotten slack, I guess is what my dentist would call it, and then how
Mhm.
straight or close to straight and center his nose was. And I think that was good because they say that the scar, you don't want to have tension on it after it's done. And
Mhm.
so the NAM helps that too.
And I love that. We want to do everything we can to help our babies every step of the way. And sometimes helping doesn't, helping is hard.
Sometimes it
It's-
doesn't feel you're helping. Sometimes it feels like you're
yeah.
hurting. And it's a terrible thing for a parent to see their child in pain. And I feel especially when they're newborn children. When my son had his NAM impression and they stuck that huge retainer wad full of whatever goop. Have you ever had a dental impression? It's the same that they do for adults. They do it to a baby. And I was bawling at that
Mm.
appointment. And that was the first time I met my dentist that I love so much, by the way. And they were like, it's okay. They were so nice to me, really
Oh,
emotionally supportive. But that was a tough appointment for sure.
yeah. No, I can imagine that. Do you, aside from the NAM, that's a medical device you use to prepare for your eventual surgery, what are some other things that you did, maybe emotionally, but also just things you did to prepare for lip repair?
What did I do for lip repair? I don't know. I overpacked. I I bought so many things I didn't need. Everything has to be all black because when you get out, they're gonna bleed it. You're gonna have wearing your clothes. So then I was, girl, we're gonna wear all black anyway. You don't need to buy more clothes. Just stupid stuff. I really wanted to make sure that we were prepared for every contingency. So I wanted to make sure our hospital stay was as comfortable as it could have been. And I wanted to make sure that my oldest son was covered. The people that I had watching him, I was basically whatever he wants to eat, whatever he wants to do, whatever he wants to watch. This is going to be his special day since mom and dad and brother are out. Because that's the other thing too, is if you've got older kids and you're dragging them to all these appointments, you're asking a lot of a very young person to be patient with you, to support their younger brother. And they're not really at an age where they can appreciate and do that willingly. So I just wanted to make sure that he felt extra special love during that time. And my mom came out from California, and so she was with him, and I hope they had a good time. It seemed very cute in the pictures. So yeah, I did that. And then, gosh, I don't think anything could prepare you for that surgery because your baby's face changes so much. I really thought I was ready to handle it. I had gone through it so many times in my mind. This is what's going to be. We're going to get to the hospital. They're going to take him back. We're going to do all this. But I did break down at the hospital when the anesthesiologist came in. And just the thought of him being under general anesthesia really gutted me.
Mhm.
And then when we were taken back after surgery to see him, I truly had the wind knocked out of me. It was unbelievable to see how different he looked because I said when he was born, this is exactly what I thought he was going to look. This is my beautiful son. And there's no surprise there. And when I went back to go see him, it was a whole new baby. Your baby, a whole new, brand new baby. It was wild. And I cried from joy. I was so moved.
Really? I think people have such mixed feelings about that moment because is it my baby? And then it's also you build up to this moment, I feel, this surgery where it's essentially life-changing.
Yes.
And it is a feeling of bittersweet because then you talk about the NAM experience, that's all behind you, and you can finally see their face, but then it's not the face that you remember, and then you mourn the loss of this smile, and then but you're happy that their quality of life is gonna be better. Like,
Yes.
it's so what a whirlwind, right?
It's
Like,
just so complex.
wow.
The emotional journey is so complex because basically all the things that you just said. I miss my child's face. I would pay lots of money to have a cleft kiss again. I think my son is beautiful just as he is, and I don't understand why I need to fix it. But of course, rationally, of course, you need to fix it. This is eating, this is hearing, this is speech, this is societal, this is everything, even their long term relationships when they're older. So, of course, you know that, and you're the mom. So, you're always going to do everything you can to provide the best life that you can for your child. But also, I do miss the cleft, and I do think it's very
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to something a little bit. Have any during this time, I guess your 2-year-old was probably 1, right? Where you were toting around
Oh,
or almost
when I got pregnant with my second child, we our first son was, oh my gosh, 16 months old. And so there was really no explaining to him, hey, you're going to have a brother and he's going to look a little bit different. And so we actually never did anything. I didn't get any of the books. I didn't explain to him anything because he was just turning 2, 9 days after my second son was born. And it was a
yeah.
non-issue, not an issue at all.
One of the things that I didn't realize, this is before I had children, is I didn't think that I would experience mom guilt. I didn't get it
Oh,
when I wasn't a mom. I didn't understand it, and now I'm so full of it. Like one time, so my best friend actually lives in Texas, and we went to go visit her, and it was Giselle and I, and she's asking me, how I'm doing and stuff, and I was like, I guess I don't know why I was feeling this way, but it's like, I brought her on a plane and like now she's here with people that she's like she knows them because she's met them, but she's only 2. Now she's able to recognize them, but she's just bouncing around the house. But I was my best friend asked me, like, "How are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I just feel like kind of guilty." And she's like, "Well, what's going on?" And I'm like, I'm worried that like I wonder if she's happy. And she's like, "She looks pretty happy to me."
sometimes the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I just worry. It just like, she's like, well, I think she would be very clear about if she wasn't happy. And of course, if anyone knows toddlers, they make it very clear when they're not happy.
Agree.
But yeah, I didn't think that I would experience mom guilt for like these small, very insignificant things. And I can just imagine having, a 1-year-old with me and you're thinking, oh, another appointment, even though they're there with you. And that's really all they want to do. But did you experience that with your older child? Like,
Yes, especially if you have to wake them up earlier than their normal bedtime to be somewhere, because a lot of parents who are doing the NAM therapy, we're very fortunate in that we only live 1 hour away from our NAM. And some families are driving much further every week. So we would have to wake up early and be in the car during rush hour traffic for an hour and a half. That's one way. And so I do, yeah, I do feel about that and then bad about that. And then he has to sit in this room with all these people. Everyone's giving attention to my second son. Then there's crying because they're doing the NAM adjustment. Babies don't that. They always cry. Mine always cry. But he always handled it a little cheer. So I think that's just how it goes when you have two. I can't make both of them happy all the time. And I have to do this. I have to do this NAM therapy to the best of my ability for my son. And if I don't do it to the best of my ability, I'll literally never forgive myself.
yeah. Yeah, I guess just telling yourself there are things that you need to do, right?
Yes.
Like that you need to do as a parent, and that's your way of, I guess for me, maybe it would be my way of resolving those issues of mom guilt.
100%. I
Um,
have to do this, and I'm sorry that you hate it, and I feel bad that you feel bad, but this is non-negotiable.
yeah, for sure. And what is something that you wish people knew about children with cleft lip and palate in general?
I think about this question all the time. So in the other episodes, many parents have always said, I wish people knew that how involved it was, the surgeries, the care, et cetera. And I do really wish that. But for the sake of saying something different, the second thing that comes to mind is I wish people knew what the perception of the parents is, how we see our children, because it's not those fundraising ads that you see on TV. It's not happening outside of this country. It is happening to your girlfriends. It is happening to your sister. It's happening. Do you know what I mean? These are the women that are having cleft affected
No.
babies. And I would like to say, and I can speak for myself here, that I don't want a pity party. I don't think my child looks a way that invokes pity. I think he's beautiful as he is, as he was born. I'm always going to think that. I do need validation. I do need a pat on the back, but the pity, I don't want it. And I don't think I've gotten too much of it. Maybe a little bit here and there, but it always comes from a good place. But I do wish people knew that I don't look at my child and think, oh, this poor cleft affected individual. Right? I look at my child just like that you look at your baby, beautiful, perfectly made person, all for me.
Yeah.
And I think another thing too, maybe we can be a little defensive. So please don't take that personally. I think sometimes cleft moms can be just a little bit more defensive than the average mom. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think, yeah, yeah. So this is my only experience. It goes back to my only experience. I feel like we are fiery and we are defensive. But then I'm like, is that like, are all moms that way, right? Like, cause like, would I still be this way? Or, would I have the same experience? And maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I feel that way. But I also feel I feel people are very warm too.
Isn't it
We're warm to each
incredible?
other.
Yes.
It
It's
is.
shocking. I couldn't believe it. I know people aren't that nice, but actually they are. And one of the things that I was so nervous for when I first found out about our son's diagnosis was like, God, they're going to say something and then I'm going to have to say something back. And now I'm ready because I love a confrontation. But people, they never gave me a reason to confront. And everyone was super nice all the time. And of course, there are sometimes comments where you just probably wouldn't have phrased it that way, but where it's coming from is a place of support and love. And yeah, no one has ever caused me to have that reaction. So it's been a really eye-opening. You asked me earlier, what's one thing that you've learned, I think, and that's the thing that I've learned. People actually are really nice and kind, and they want to help you, and moms want to support other moms.
Yeah. But it's so interesting. Yeah, one of the things that you mentioned earlier as well is not about not wanting pity. And that is something that I struggled with a lot too. I think it even irritates me when and here's me getting defensive. Oh no. It even irritates me when I'm, of course, supporting mothers and I have this platform and I'm building a community of moms and I show people that are not in the community. Um, or they just so happen to stumble upon they're over me and I'm on a screen. My social media is filled with children with Clefts and NAM and all these things, and just oh, that is so annoying to me. I get it's just a cleft. It's just
It's
a
just the
cleft.
cleft, we're fine, but also the cleft and I need the hugs. It's so dichotomous, it's wild. I can't stand it. I know, that's what I mean. You're feeling every emotion all the time. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's I feel I want people to understand how hard the journey has been. I want people to be very clear that it's not just an easy fix, which is something that we hate to hear
Pet
as
peeve.
well. So, yeah, we want that, but we also want you to know that, children with facial differences, children that are born with clefts are just the same. They're literally just the same as any other baby. Um, they just have to have surgeries. And yeah, it's a balancing act. But you shared earlier, you just shared the one of the lessons that you've learned. But in closing, do you have any other lessons you feel you've learned along your journey or any advice that you would give a mom who is just learning about her diagnosis today?
Oh, my heart really goes out to those moms. I'll probably cry a second time. It's a lot. And I would actually encourage people to limit their consumption of information because it's so easy to overwhelm yourself with it's a long journey. You've got 18 years likely of surgeries, upcoming surgeries, or whatever of various sorts. And people say take it one day at a time. That's a pretty common phrase, but I think set yourself a milestones. As our milestone is get me to lip repair. And we just focus on those
Mhm.
4 to 5 months. Just get me there. And then I can reset and I can figure out what is our next milestone. But join the Facebook group and reach out and just know that all the things that you're feeling, we've all felt them too, and we are still feeling them. And even though that doesn't maybe make you feel better, you're very much not alone. It's a hard journey, but you are the person who gets to be the mom of a really special child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
It is so true. You're fine. You're fine. I just want to thank you, Kelly, for coming on the show and, of course, just being vulnerable with me and sharing your story with us here. I think it's so valuable, and I think you're at a pivotal point in your journey, right? You have lip repair behind you. You still have so much more to go,
Yes. Oh
and
my gosh.
and
Miles to go.
yeah, but you take it one day at a time, and I think that just as you've just shared, you have a really special baby and has a really special mommy
Oh, thank
that
you.
obviously really cares.
Yes. A very emotive parent, unfortunately.
No, but thank you for being on, Kelly. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was so nice to meet you. And thank you for providing this opportunity for regular moms to be part of your platform and share our stories. And I love listening to other stories so much. So I'm incredibly grateful.
And thank you all for listening to the Hour for Our First Smiles, Cleft Mom Diaries, and Support podcast. Be sure to subscribe and submit a review of the podcast wherever you listen. I hope that you've enjoyed this audio experience. Maybe you cried a little, laughed a little, but more importantly, I hope that you feel a little piece of reassurance and even joy in your journey. Talk to you next week.